Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My name is Adriana Velazquez. I'm talking to you from the World Health Organization headquarters today. So first of all, congratulations to all clinical engineers. I'm very pleased to be with you today, and I hope that my presentation will be interesting for all of you and that you can help us achieve all the goals that WHO has. So as you all know, there are two global health priorities. First one from WHO is to address all the COVID-19 pandemic issues. The second one is to keep essential health services working and in good conditions. As you know, medical devices are really essential for the delivery of healthcare services, both for the pandemic and for general health services. So medical devices include medical equipment, which you all know very well, all the medical software, single-use devices, including personal protective equipment, surgical instruments, implantable devices, and all the in vitro diagnostics, and also some assistive devices. And they are meant to be able to help us in the prevention, protection, diagnostic, and treatment of diseases. In the case of COVID, medical devices are indispensable to test, treat patients, and protect healthcare workers. Our goal as WHO is to ensure improved access to safe, good quality, affordable, appropriate, and acceptable medical devices. And this will go from the different levels, from the industry to the regulatory bodies, then to the selection of medical devices for procurement and reimbursement, like the definition of essential or priority national list, then all the way through health technology management that you all know very well, from procurement, supply, selection, procurement, supply, operations and training, patient safety, post-market surveillance, or to decommissioning. And this slide, I put it to all of you because it's only that working together with clinical and biomedical engineers to solve local, regional, and global health problems. And this is a slide that I took recently this year with all the different clinical engineers from around the world that were helping us in different projects in WHO. So let me now start to tell you one by one the projects that we were involved with. First of all, we had clinical engineers and biomedical engineers involved in the selection of priority medical devices list for COVID-19, along with all the technical specifications. This involved more than 100 medical devices, and this publication was released in 2020 with all your help, so almost a year ago. The second big important publication was personal protective equipment, technical specifications that include about 20 different personal protective equipment. All these specifications were meant to include in the catalog for COVID products, and these include personal protective equipment and all medical equipment that was sent to about 120 low and middle income countries. So what you can see here is the global catalog where all the devices are there. Then something that we started also last year, but we have not finished, and I really want to acknowledge the work by Bill Gentles, Toby Clark, but more than 50 clinical engineers around the world that are helping us. It is to develop the videos and the training for the selection of the getting the equipment ready to be used, the use of the equipment, the decontamination, the maintenance, and the decommissioning of different types of medical devices. In this case, is pulse oximetry, patient monitors, oxygen cylinders, oxygen concentrators, high flow nasal cannula, CPAP, BiPAP, and mechanical ventilators. These are some of the images that you will see in the videos that will be released hopefully in the next month, as beginning of November. But this one tells you exactly how is the source of oxygen, how do you distribute the good quality of it. And it is really a solution between all of the healthcare workers team. Secondly, now in another project, totally different, but this is about the technology transfer and local production. In this team, we have Einstein, Casey, Mohammed Khan, Dragana Milik, just to name a few, that are helping us to develop technology transfer for health products and to be able to be locally produced in low and middle income countries. Another project that was with the help of many of you, and especially I would like to acknowledge Stefano, Riyad, Sasikala, and Ilaria, that we really were absolutely marvelous to help us through the initiation of the proposal for a WHO qualification of medical devices, and this would involve for medical equipment and personal protective equipment. So here you have part of the image of the process and the prioritization that we did. Another project that has been including clinical and biomedical engineers is the update of the medical devices donations. This book, as you know, was released in 2011. It's been 10 years now. Many regulations are changing, so now this book will be updated. And I want to acknowledge Lindsay Williams, Kathy Blank, and other colleagues from Humaten. So we will continue to work this book before the 31st of December to update. Another publication that was launched this year was the WHO Essential In Vitro Diagnostic List. This includes many in vitro diagnostics that are divided into 3 topics. The first one is for diagnostic in no laboratories, the second is for laboratories, and the third tier is for specialized lab. All this is available both in the books and in an electronic version that is called the EEDL. Then let's go to other publications that we made during from last year onwards, 2021. That is the technical specifications for radiotherapy equipment for cancer treatment. And just very recently, the portable digital radiography system. I really want to acknowledge Brendan Healy and Francesco Rivolsi and all the Atomic Energy Agency team that make this possible. Why do we need this? Because radiotherapy, as you know, is one of the most expensive medical devices, and we really need to encourage and support cancer patients all the way from diagnostics to treatment. This second book, the portable digital radiography system, is one we really need to get out of the hospital and have outreach and be able to find and screen patients with tuberculosis, COVID, pneumonia, and other diseases. But these portable x-rays are even helpful for trauma and other emergencies. So this book is really, really important. In July 2020, we released the WHO Priority Medical Devices for Cardiovascular, including stroke and diabetes. And I would like to acknowledge that this work started maybe 3 years ago, but due to COVID, we had to postpone this book and to stop work with COVID. And now we went back to cardiovascular, and this was released this year in July. And I would like to acknowledge, first of all, Laura Lopez, who unfortunately passed away about a month ago, but also all our other colleagues, Keiko Fukuta, Jitendra, Alfonso, Maurice Page, Marilena, Valeria Montant, Daniela, Antonio Migliori, Isabel Watanabe, Lindsay Williams, and many others. So this book actually tells you all the medical devices that are needed, and it has more than 900. So the medical devices are organized by the clinical units, as you can see in this image, from diagnosis, treatment, monitoring, and to end-of-life care. And they go to pre-hospital emergency care, to primary care, secondary care, and tertiary care. This is a little bit of the explanation. We took the disease areas, cardiovascular, stroke, diabetes. Then we reviewed the clinical guidelines. We selected the interventions. Then we selected the medical devices that are required for those clinical interventions. And then we have the final list of the priority medical devices. And then we released the publication, and then we also released the electronic version that is called MEDEVIS, which not only acts for the priority medical devices for cardiovascular, but also for other diseases that I will show you later. It is important that you see which were the clinical considerations that we took to select the medical equipment. So it was based on specific diseases like retinal vascular occlusion, or in the case of diabetic, to retinopathy, neuropathy, or nephropathy. And then we had to see what are these diseases, what are the devices that are needed to diagnose and treat these diseases. And those, you can see them organized by different, by the clinical care units where you find these technologies. So for clinical assessment or in the emergency room, and as you know, cardiovascular, stroke, and diabetes, they can happen anywhere. It can happen in the middle of the street or anywhere. So that's why we needed an emergency care, because we need that specific service. Then we go to everything that happens in a clinical laboratory, in other specialized diagnostics, medical imaging, surgery, non-surgical interventions, hospital, intensive care units, rehab, and palliative care. So I really invite you to go to the books and review what are all the medical devices that are needed for generic interventions, but also for specific interventions. And you will find the code by color, the red cardiovascular, the stroke in green, and the diabetes in blue. Just to have an idea, so that you can have an idea, there were 975 medical devices. There were generic ones that can serve many diseases, but there are specific for cardiovascular, for stroke, or for diabetes, for each of the different areas. And the idea is that all these list of medical devices can help countries and hospitals also decide which devices are required in every room or every setting. And then we gather all the information from the priority medical devices from cancer, cardiovascular, COVID, and reproductive health, and they are all merged together into a clearinghouse. This clearinghouse is called MEDEVIS. MEDEVIS is Medical Devices Information System. And this was released, the test version, the beta version in July 2021. We will be updating it, but actually it includes all the methodology from 2010 and the books that came in the different years, 2016, 17, 2020, and 2021, and they are all there. And I really would like to acknowledge all the clinical and biomedical engineers that were involved in this, especially Mario for just a second. And then with the help of Francesco Ribolsi, which Laura, unfortunately passed away, but she really helped us a lot. Antonio Miglorio on the interventions, Lindsay William, Dr. Fernando Prieto, and now Ricardo Silva, which is linking these interventions for the Universal Health Coverage Compendium. So there are many collaborators, and they've been working since a year ago, mostly, and we hope to have a next version of MEDEVIS ready for the end of this year. These are examples of publications that instead of going to the PDF of each of them, all the information from these books has been already organized in this medical device information session. And just so that you have one example, we put angiographic cardiac. So it says in which list it is, what conditions it goes, which ICD-11, the disease, who uses this, in which service delivery platform, what specialized treatment, and then the technical requirements that they have, and even the technical specifications of various of these equipment. And when we will have the training videos, they will also go in there. The idea is that all of these lists should be reviewed by a biomedical engineer or clinical engineers in countries along with a selection committee that includes the clinical specialists, the hospital service, community service, health financing, insurance benefit package. And the idea is that all of these books that come from WHO as priority medical devices, they are developed in WHO, they are evidence-based, the book becomes a publication, and then every country, so this is at WHO level, then the green one is at country level. They will have to review it and say, okay, if I see my needs, my epidemiology, my resources, what is it exactly that I can take from those WHO books? And then have a committee, which is the one that I just showed you before, this selection committee, that will decide where to place those technologies in primary care, secondary care, specialized care. So on the priority medical devices, please note that WHO has developed this list. They are by clinical interventions, they include technical specifications, and they are for countries to use as needed to develop their own list. And it is to be used for universal health coverage, emergencies, or well-being. And then just let me go quickly to two other topics. One is about innovation. WHO is being committed to find innovative technologies, especially for low resource settings. So as you know, we have been publishing these books, 2010, 2011, 13, 14, 17, and recently, just recently, this year, we published the WHO Companion for Innovative Health Technologies for Low Resource Setting, but that is version for 2021. And as you can see from this icon, it actually represents for COVID response. I would like to say that every book that has been released, it contains much more assessments, more rigorous assessments. And for this last one, we had the health problem address, then we described the operating steps, the developers' claims for technologies. Then all the regulatory assessments were reviewed, then also for our colleagues from health technology assessments, and then for health technology management, and also including the market assessment, intellectual property, and future work. And for this, I really would like to recognize the great support by the Global Clinical Engineering Alliance that included, engaged more than 20 clinical engineers globally, led by Tom Judd and Yadin David, which you all know very well. And also to acknowledge the technical specifications reviewed by Gabriela Jimenez, Caroline Sawyers, and many other biomedical engineers that help us in this project. These took place from December 2020 to April 21. And now, as of next week, once this event has finished, then we will engage them again to help us review the next batch. We have about 30 technologies that we need to review from now until the end of the year. So many of you will be recontacted again. Then let's go to another topic. It is the Fair Pricing Forum. For the first pricing forum, for the first time, the WHO has fair pricing forums every year, but for the first time, they had a specific session on medical devices. This was led by myself and Alexander Lengruber from PAHO. But here you can see Shona Mulali representing IFME, Murillo, Thierry from Benin. So we are all there along with the GMTA from the medical device industry, from FIND. So we are all together trying to find solutions on how can we get information for pricing, what can we do, and what are the issues that really help us define the pricing in the total cost of ownership and pricing models. So I would like to acknowledge that Keiko was not in the picture here, so I added one of her slides because Keiko really helped us on the presentation by Japan. And we presented this in April, but now there will be ongoing work from 2022 to find out pricings of medical devices for non-communicable diseases. And then another project that is ongoing is, as you all know, WHO has released the Global Atlas of Medical Devices. This is every 3 to 4 years that we release it. And due to COVID, we really needed to know what was happening in countries. So with the help of other biomedical engineers, but also statisticians like Ricardo Martinez and Lucero and many others. So what we did is they contacted about 1,000 emails were sent to all focal points in countries to update the information and to be able to see what is happening, And so this book, the Global Atlas of Medical Devices, is draft now. It is up for consultation. We need that you please go and check your country data, because all the data that comes in the Global Atlas will be represented in the Global Health Observatory. And we have active maps, interactive maps that will show you, do we have a policy? And these are the questions. Does the country have a policy? If yes, how is it? Where is it? If you have national list of approved medical devices, if they are recommendation or not, where either. If they have an HTA unit, if they have different technologies or so. So it is very important. And our kind request is, please check this Global Atlas before 31st of October, review if you have an HTA unit, and please submit your comments before 31st October. Another update that's happening as we speak until March 2022, and I would like to know if there are more people interested in participating, is the update of the Global Model Regulatory Framework. This was released in 2017 and it's been now updated, and that will include new topics as software as medical device, the nomenclature and UDI, the donations of medical devices, plus all original topics. And maybe let me stop here, and I am sorry I forgot to add that slide, but it is super important that you all know that we're having consultations for the nomenclature of medical devices and the UDI. The idea is that WHO is doing the mapping for the 4 types of nomenclature: GMDN, UMDNS, UNSPSC, and the European Medical Device Nomenclature. We are mapping them all together, and there will be a very important discussion by member states on the 16th of December. So we will invite you again through IFMB and CD and HTA, and also through the Clinical Engineering Alliance, to join us in that discussion, because it is absolutely important. And the idea is that we're using the UDI to be able to map all these technologies so that you can use them for selection, for repair, for maintenance, for inventories, for procurement, and then we use it for post-market surveillance. So I apologize, I didn't add that slide, but I will send it in the revised PowerPoint I will send to the CD. And then finally, just to remember that you as biomedical engineers, clinical engineers, we are responsible for medical devices along with many other healthcare professionals. And our role goes from innovation to regulation to assessment all the way through. And then that our work considers medical devices that will support local, regional, and global health to support patients absolutely everywhere. Remember what I always tell you. First, do not give up. Things might be difficult, but don't give up. Secondly, ask for help and work with all healthcare workers. But third, remember that technology is not the most important, but the patient that is behind the technology. So let's keep on working together. And thank you very much for being invited to this very important Health Technology Management Conference. Thank you and best wishes to all.
Thanks so much, Adriana. Wow, you continue to be our inspiration, and I know you can't do what you do without us, and we can't do it. You know, you're our leader, and we're so thankful.
Thank you, thank you, Tom. Thank you very much.
So this is when we're doing a lot of clapping around the world right now. It's about 8 minutes before 9. We will end this session in a few moments, and invite the Zoom platform will take you back to the lobby, and you'll choose which of the 3 tracks that are going to go on simultaneously here in the next 2-3 hours to join. So, and remember, those sessions will go from 9 to 11:30. That'll send you, they'll send you back to the lobby. Please choose to come see our first sponsor presentation from R0 there at 11:30. And you can grab lunch, you know, at least if you're in this country during that time, so you'll work it out. But a great morning so far from 8 to 9 here on New York time. And we're going to join those sessions here now. And thanks, everybody.